Hi, today I want to talk to you about pulling bullets. This is the process and the equipment that I use to take apart live rounds and essentially return them back to their individual components all over again. Usually for me, this is when I do this when I'm either checking some factory preloaded ammo like gold medal match, or when I'm chronograph testing and I've built up a series of charges, go to the range, decide I'm where I want to be, and now I have a bunch of essentially overcharged cases maybe left over, and they might even be unsafe. So this is me and what I use to take them back apart and go from this back to our individual components, and we'll deal with the powder and all that stuff, and we'll figure it out from there. So bear with me, we'll be right back and I'll show you how I get set up. Okay, so in terms of equipment, or the tools I use here, I've got a single stage press, RCBS rock chucker. I use a RCBS bullet puller die. It's a collet die, but it doesn't, when you buy it, it doesn't come with any of the collets. So it's number 9440. It's a pretty cool kit in my opinion. It comes with the die body and sort of a T-handle bolt, and that's all you get when you buy the kit, the die set. What you do have to do on your own in addition is buy the collets that fit the caliber you intend to be pulling bullets on. So in this case you get a 30 caliber, there's a 38, 9mm, 6mm 243. So basically any caliber you want, you're gonna spend 10-ish bucks or so Canadian to make this work. So let's get it set up in the press and I'll show you the next steps. Okay, so how I set this up is we take the RCBS bullet puller die, T-handle. At the top of the die body you've got a flat side. T-handle bolt goes on the flat. On the bottom you've got a taper. Maybe hard to see there, but there's a taper on that works in conjunction with the taper on the collet. So I thread them in until it just kind of gets snug, and I'll pinch it there with that finger just until it's just a little bit snug. And then I'll wind it in to the press and wind it all down till it just sort of seats. I find I like to have it just barely poking out the bottom here so I can just start to see it. I think truly speaking, the higher this die is, the further forward your press handle can be. But I find if it's any higher than this, I can't really see it engage below this part of the press. I'm gonna loosen it off a little bit, both the die body and the collet, so everything wiggles. And then we'll take a live round, put in the shell holder, run it up into the die. I find my 30 caliber collets a little bit tight on these bullets, so I usually just sort of play and bump and wiggle things until it grabs where I want. I don't tighten this part, the T-handle, really tight. It's just kind of a feel thing, but you'll get to it. The tighter you make it, you could deform your bullet and or leave big nasty marks on your jacket. And you push firmly forward on your press handle. The case comes down, powder's in there, primer's in there still. I tend to dump the powder off into a separate case, or a kind of can. I don't really like to put it back in the big jug of powder, just in case it's gone bad or contaminated or anything. I've had weird things happen. I also look down the case at the flash hole just to see if there's any little bits of powder stuck in there, kernels of powder stuck in there. And I'll come back over here, kind of pinch the bullet, loosen the T-handle, and pull out my bullet if I've set it up right. As I said, on mine and on Sierra's, I find the ogive tends to grab this funny, so sometimes they're in there really tight, even though you've got the T-handle loose. And generally speaking, you'll see some marks that are on there, but not many. Definitely still good to go for practice or load development. And then we repeat as necessary. So that's about it for the RCBS bullet puller collet system. What I do, as I said, is I keep the powder separate, segregated, labeled so that I know what it is later, because I won't remember it starting tomorrow. I keep the bullets labeled and segregated, and then all we're left with are basically empty cases with primers. If we're gonna just reload these and put a different bullet or put a different charge in it or different powder in it, we can just theoretically just reuse these as is. In some cases, if you've changed brass or you're changing something else, you might want to decap these and recover the primers and then keep the brass. That's going to be in a different video, and I will show you how to do that then. And for now, that's all. One last thing I didn't clearly mention when I was talking about the RCBS kit that doesn't really come with anything else. You need to buy the collets. I said it doesn't come with anything else, and that you do need to buy the collets, but you also need to buy a shell holder. So keep that in mind if you're getting set up with this. In my case, this is a Lee shell holder that I had from other stuff. This is a Lee number 2 that works with the 308s. It might be RCBS number 3, but again, either way, you're gonna have to have a shell holder to make this bullet puller work, and you're gonna have to have collets as well. All right, thanks for watching. See you soon.